Hey friends, today we are at a customer's house and we're going to service her containers. I'm going to tell you what's in my favorite ones, how some things are doing. Her front garage ones I'm looking at that I'll show you are so good. So let's go take a look. We're going to start with the containers up by the garage that I was just talking about. They are so good. So what is in them is the clowning around caladium, and then you have the surefire white begonias, surefire red begonias, the white wonder caladium, the prince tut, and then a silver falls here for the spiller. So the prince tut, it loves to be really wet. It doesn't like to dry out much, so it's doing really good on this north facing side of the garage. And we have these in a main, I believe this is their 34-inch container, and it holds a lot of water. So the fact that these get to stay wet for a long period of time is really, really good for them. And they just look super healthy. Anytime any of them like flop or anything, I can show you on one of the ones over here. It's really getting full and they're kind of flopping towards the front of them. I just go ahead and cut them back. They're super easy. I don't like to, sometimes people will put them in like full sun, but I think that they do best in a really wet space and a little bit more of a shadier spot. That's how you're going to keep them from browning on the tips. If you have them in a full sun spot, to keep them healthier on top like these, I would just make sure they're watered and you're pairing them with, combinations that are also wanting to be watered more. The caladiums do not like to be overwatered, but I have those planted up a little bit higher in this combination here. So this is one that I love. It gets part to full sun, probably more later afternoon sun, more shade during the morning and middle of the day there. So a really beautiful combination. Clowning around is doing wonderful. And the whole thing is just doing amazing. And I think it's because it just sits, I fill these up once a week with water, so they don't, it's probably pretty, I can usually tell when it's not as empty as I thought it would be with how hot it was last week, but we'll fill them up today and then she'll be good to go throughout this hot weekend coming up. So these are really easy to fill. I should have had this hole here towards the back. It would have been easy. I don't have to get under the begonias as much, but I'll just come in here and I'll fill it like such until it comes. You'll see, I'll know it's full whenever it starts to come out the bottom. How good is this? This has the Chinese fan palm, the pink tiara, supertunia, again, not sure why it's not the Vista series, and then a yellow lantana here. There was a trailing Mizzou, you can't really see it anymore. This is in a aquapot, the original OG, the heavy ceramic ones, and I've already filled this through the porthole in the back there, and it's overflowed. And the next thing I want to do is I'm going to give it some fertilizer and de-stressor. And what I'll do also is I will spray this with 7 for whatever reason. There's always a rodent every year. And if I miss a week of spraying this with 7, that said rodent, whatever it is, will come in here and eat it probably up until here. It won't eat anything on the top. It's just, it will chew up everything. And it is the weirdest thing. I don't know if it's chipmunk, if it's a bunny, groundhog. I feel like a groundhog would be able to get a little bit up higher, but no matter what, if I do not spray these, whatever the 7 does, I don't know if it smells weird, it tastes bad, I don't know. But they sometimes will, there's 2 more over here, and they'll sometimes mess with the other 2, but it's always this one that really gets torn up. So I have to stay on top of that every week, or else these, when I come back the next week, are sad, and I gotta cut them all evenly and just kind of restart. So thankfully this year we kind of knew ahead of time this happened, so we stayed on top of it. I've been spraying it every week, and it's doing great so far. There are some people that will say the Chinese fan palms don't do as well in the sun, but they do wonderfully. I have them around my pool as well, and they are so big and beautiful. I love them. They just give a little bit more of a grand look. And if you have a windier space where like your Majesty palms might get whipped around, this would be a good alternative option for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and get these fertilized, get the other ones taken care of, and then we'll head upstairs to one that's kind of looking a little sad. The lantana in it is, I'm afraid, taking up the roots. So my sun patients are not getting what they should. So I might even have to take those out, the sun patients out today, and see if the lantana will just fill in the empty spaces. So I'm telling y'all, I get my workout in whenever I have to go here. All the steps, but it's so pretty. So, see it? It's a little sad. It's about the second week this has happened, so I think it's because the only thing I can think of is that the lantana roots are just taking over the root system and not letting the sun patients absorb any of the moisture. And this one is doing really, really good. The hibiscus are kind of between blooms right now, so they're the yellow with that bright orange again, like the tree over there, and the yellow lantana, and then a trailing mizzou down there. It's all doing really, really well in this container. I was fighting some beetles and some aphids on these guys, but I sprayed them with 7, and they seem to be lush and green and beautiful now. So we're gonna give these guys some fertilizer, fill up the reservoir, because these are in an aquapot ceramic container. And then I have one more over there that matches this, so I'll get those done, and then we'll be done servicing this home today. Besides all the cleanup and getting the hoses wrapped back up, we are done here today. It probably takes me 20 to 30 minutes, depends. Sometimes it takes 45 minutes. It really just depends on everything that I have to do. If I have to prune, this week was not a pruning week, so I didn't have to do that. So it's a much shorter, probably 20-25 minute day to service here, and we'll be back again next week to check on if the rodents are still staying away or not. Stay tuned. We have another mini series of a garden, of a front porch with some great ferns. So stay tuned for that. See you soon. Bye, guys.